Got it. Text Crystal.
We match.
Do we?
Black and white
Okay.
patterns.
We've done that a few times where you're wearing green, I'm wearing green.
Oh
I
wow.
don't want that.
Oh yeah, I want it to
This. And nobody is here yet.
That's okay. Yes, it's not quite timed. That is disconcerting to see such a clear image of. And we're up there in the corner too. Upper left.
Now you're making me self-conscious.
You're only on there 3 times.
It's okay, please don't go online. This is part of public record though.
We can get it. It's not started yet.
No quorum, no meeting.
No meeting. Redo it. Only next time we'll have it in person. Sarah's gonna be here. Ta-da, Toby. Hi, Toby. How you doing? Oh, you're muted. Oh, did he? Do you have to? Oh, there we go.
No, he
Oh, no.
is still
Oh, I
muted.
got it.
Goes. Hi, Sarah.
I'm unmuted, right?
Really quick, so I'm gonna leave my camera off for a bit.
I couldn't print those documents, so I just looked at them 10 times.
That's okay, because we are going to put them up on the screen and we go through them. And
I
it's
got
a
it.
little less intense than it appears.
Hello, Natasha.
Hi.
Either or. No problem. Bye.
We got one more coming.
Yeah, that was Natasha asking if the meeting was in person or on Zoom, and that's all she asked.
Oh.
I let her know it was either or, so I'm not sure if she's gonna come in on Zoom or in person.
Okay, probably in person. Hi, Dick. How are you?
Oh,
You
Dick's
are.
muted.
Good. That's what I said.
There you go.
All right.
Toby, how are you?
I'm good, Dick. Good to see you.
Good to see you. You look comfy. They're sitting there.
I'm in my easy chair in my little mini man cave.
I like it.
When
That's
we
what I,
finish, all I have to do is close the computer, put my feet up, turn my heating pad on, and go to sleep.
Wait till after the meeting, though.
I will.
Okay.
Sunrise, that must be Jane.
That's right.
Hi, how are you?
Pretty good.
So I think we're waiting for one more, just Natasha. Will be jumping on any moment. We did just hear a car door. Oh, she's here. Hi. Come on in, grab a folder. So we know where you want. All right,
Camera finds me no matter where I am just now.
yeah, it'll
Camera
find you when
will
you
find
talk, yes. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and call the meeting to order at 1:01 p.m. And there are just a couple of changes that we need to make to the agenda. Because we were going through the bylaws, we realized there's no need to reappoint previous members because your term is for 4 years. And nobody's made it quite that far yet because the district hasn't been in place for that long. So we're gonna replace reappointment of previous members with a review of the STIF discretionary grant submissions. And then also in reviewing the bylaws, we realized that we were supposed to select a chair and a vice chair. And previously, I believe we had only selected a chair, unless one of you remembers being selected as the vice chair. Okay, so and our person that we had originally selected as the chair is not able to be with us today. So I'll do. So I guess we need to know, how do we want to do this? Because we could do the selection of chair and vice chair first and then turn the meeting over to them. Or we could just keep the agenda the way that it is and turn it over at the time that we elect them. Okay, so the only reason that we had put selection of chair as number 6 is because we do have an application. And so it's entirely possible that that person might be interested in one of those positions as well. All right, so moving on to number 2, which is now review of the STIF discretionary grant submissions. We had really tried to get the meeting scheduled prior to submitting these grants because at this point we're kind of out of order. We should be presenting the concept to the committee first and then moving it forward and submitting the grant. But I didn't want to miss the application deadline, so we went ahead and did that. We had a couple of months ago a technology assessment that we did with ODOT, and the list for us, because we are brand new, was long. So what I did is I just took the list of technologies and picked like the top 5, and that's what we submitted the grant applications for. So the first one, the one we put as the number 1 priority, was replacement of the route match software and the possibility of a microtransit option to be able to serve some of our underserved areas. So that was application number 1, and it was listed as the number 1 priority, and it was for a total amount of $150,000. That would replace the software. It would be the training, the tablets for the GPS portion of the system and communication with drivers. And it would also do the secondary software for microtransit. They did indicate that they have had more than double the funding available in applications. So the chances of us getting funded for everything is kind of slim. Our second application then was for the fixed route software, was the CAD AVL software with the mobile data terminals for the buses and the vehicle logic units for the GPS tracking. That would include a forward-facing application for passengers to be able to see where their bus is. So if that's selected, that is the number 1 piece of the second application. And then the automatic passenger count system software and the sensors to make that happen for the buses is the secondary piece of that one. And then the third one was the contactless fare application, which would allow people to be able to purchase fare online, or depending on what system we ended up putting into place, either have a fare card or the Apple Pay option. But that would need to go through an RFP process if we get funded for it, so that we can choose the one that's best for the entire system. And then transit assets management software was the final piece of that application. And that is becoming something that, because we're going to develop the property next door, and we're going to have a second building that we need to manage, and we will have preventive maintenance on site. And so we'll be stocking parts and things of that nature. The transit asset software is something that will become increasingly important, but it's not something we have to have right this minute. So those were the applications that we submitted, and we will probably find out in March whether or not we were selected for any of those projects. So that is number 2 that we replaced as review of STIF discretionary grant submissions.
How much was the second grant submission?
Oh, yeah, that one was, and an IT person was included in that application as well. The entire amount for that one was the entire application did not print. I believe it was 619,000 for the whole of it. Oh, there we go. $616,733. If they fund the entire thing, chances are that will not happen. Okay. So now has everybody had the opportunity to review the minutes from our last meeting in 2021? Yes. All right. I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes or changes if necessary.
I'll move to approve as submitted.
I'll
Okay.
second that.
All righty. All those in favor?
Aye.
Yes. 1, 2, 3. Oh, so it is just the 3 of you.
Is there a quorum?
Yes, that's quorum.
Okay, perfect.
Oh, just the bare minimum.
I already
All right.
counted.
Okay, okay. All right. So next on the agenda would be review applications for new memberships. And so we did forward application for Sarah Baumgartner from Mercy Express. And Sarah is one of only 4 people that could fill that position as a provider. So we still have another provider position open as well. The way that the process works is you guys would decide to put Sarah forward to the board. The board meets on Monday. So if you select her to move forward into the provider position, then we would present that to the board on Monday for approval.
So moved.
I read her application, but there she is. I'd kind of like to hear from her.
Sure. I forgot to turn on my camera. I was done eating my lunch. But I'm the Director of Communications at Mercy, and our department oversees the Mercy Express portion vendor that supports some of what Cheryl's team does. I'm originally from Roseburg, So I moved away for a little bit and then came back and I'm raising my family here. And this program and what the district does is very critical to the hospital as far as what our mission is about and a lot to do with our patients. Cheryl and I were emailing earlier today, just the need for our patients to get a ride home when they are discharged is a daily conversation with us 24/7. So I was super excited that it was even offered for us to be in this conversation. So I'm happy to take any questions too. That was a very brief intro.
And while we have Jane on here as well, the other 3 entities that could submit an application would be City of Reedsport, DRTF, or Sunrise Enterprises, as they are our client-only services, Sunrises. Hint, hint. So we have so moved and a second, and we've heard from Sarah. Is there any discussion? Then we'd entertain a vote.
Aye.
Aye. All right, Sarah, we're gonna present your application to the board. I don't anticipate there would be any problem with getting you approved on Monday and appointed for the provider position on this committee. Okay. So next we would have selection of chair and vice chair. Do we have any nominations?
We need both.
We're supposed to have both. If you'd prefer to just do a chair, I can always, well, I cannot say that because the bylaws say that we have a chair and a vice chair.
Okay, and so who's the chair?
Who's currently the
So
chair?
Shelley was the chair, and she has been out for a while and will be returning in January, but probably not in the same capacity that she was before. So we may not be able to utilize her, so she's not an option.
Well, the bylaws actually say that it's supposed to be at the first meeting, it's the chair has to be replaced.
Oh, okay.
So
Chair has
the
to be
chair and vice chair shall be elected from the advisory committee membership during the first meeting each calendar year.
Okay.
So it's the first meeting, a new chair has to be elected from the committee.
Okay, so and probably only have to be the chair through the month of December. But we do have to do one more meeting before the end of December.
What does the chair, what does that look like?
It just looks like
Follows
leading
the
everybody through the agenda, like what we're doing right now, to call for the motions and the discussion and all that good stuff.
I'll do the one.
We have a volunteer for vice chair. We
Right.
have a
There
volunteer
you
for chair.
Toby looks like he's ready to take it on.
I think it's Dick's job.
No. You don't want that. I don't want that.
I don't either.
Natasha, so you'd like to be
I
chair
guess
and vice
I
chair?
Yeah, right.
It's only for one meeting.
Well, yeah, for one meeting, I don't mind.
Okay,
Yeah.
till we get back to,
And then in January, we're gonna have to do
And
it
then
over
Jane
again.
needs to get on the board and be the chair.
okay.
Or
For
am I
Sarah.
whatever this is?
Sarah,
No, I'm bugging Jane.
Oh,
because
yes.
Oh,
I
because she
can.
needs to. All right, so Christine is gonna share our screen for us. And we are gonna put the bylaws up. What, put the bylaws up, or do we want to put the information about the STIF, STF, STIF combination?
This is where
Okay, so can everybody see the screen?
Yep.
Okay, so this is the 2-page explanation of the combination of the STF, the Special Transportation Fund, with the STIF, our Special Transportation Improvement Fund. So they directed us in 2019 to consolidate the two funds. And so there was an advisory committee that worked on that, and they met multiple times over about a year's period of time. All of the meetings were public meetings. There was a lot of public input, and they presented to the legislature, the 2020 legislature, a couple of different options and explained what those options would look like and how it would affect the funding source. So then the legislature chose the choice that they selected for all of the funding that had previously just gone to STF, then go to the STIF fund, but it is earmarked as the for elderly and people with disabilities. So they're calling that population based. So it is the I need to actually read. It is still familiar. I'm still getting familiar with the terminology. So with the changes, we have, okay, I'm going to read this because that's easier for me. During the 2019 session, the Oregon legislature directed the Oregon Department of Transportation to develop a plan to merge two separate public transportation funding programs: the Statewide Transportation Improvement Fund and the Special Transportation Fund, STIF and STF. The legislature seeks to reduce redundancy, increase administrative efficiency, and improve funding reliability for public transportation providers throughout the state. ODOT was directed to report back on the progress of this consolidation during the 2020 legislative session. After consolidation, this fund is now split into population-based formula, which is replacing STF, and payroll-based formula. Population-based formula funds must be dedicated to transportation services for older adults and individuals with disabilities. And so the STIF funding backfills what the state legislature used to, or the state of Oregon used to put into the STF funding, which at the time that this was directed to happen was $10 million for the entire state. And then there's the cigarette tax and things of that nature that go into this as well. So then if you could switch to the STIF allocation, next one to, there we go, and scroll down to the third page. Keep going. So this is, there are a couple of pages in the STIF consolidation packet, but the first one is combined and it gives all of the qualified entities for the entire state. The second one, if you go one more page, is the population formula breakout, and we're at the very bottom. And Umpqua Public Transportation District. So for 2024 and 2025, the estimate for UPTD is, for 2024, it is the 281,604, and for 2025 it is 298,413. So that's the number that I utilized in the recommendation page, for a total of $580,017. All right, so back to the bylaws. So the information that we changed in the bylaws is specific to the consolidation and the language that changes STF to STIF population based. And again, it's still new terminology for me, so I really have to think about it to get it out of my mouth. Yes.
So I don't even know you'll know the answer to this question, but the population formula breakout, for some counties it increases and for some counties it doesn't. Do they just not expect any growth? Because ours, it gave us a 6% increase, so I'm assuming they're thinking we'll grow by 6% between 2024 and 2025, but that's a guesstimate.
I think it is our, the population of elderly and people with disabilities.
Okay,
So they're going based on the sentence.
okay,
Census.
okay.
Yeah, like, I'm not quite there yet, but I'm gonna be in there.
There must be
pretty
a
soon.
minimum, because like when you look at the Confederates Tribe of Siletz Indians. It's
Yes, there's a minimum.
78,470 and it doesn't change, so that must be
Yes.
the minimum. Okay.
All right, so if
Thank
we
you.
go back to the bylaws, the only things that we are proposing changes to are highlighted in yellow. And they are all specific to the terminology to change that from STF to STIF. Population based. And then the final question that I had is on page 5. It talks about governance of the committee and that the advisory committee has no formal delegated powers of authority. And it says to represent Douglas County, and that just struck me as odd. Because it seems as though it should just say Umpqua Public Transportation District. And I don't know why they left Douglas County in. But if you would like me to bring that back to the board, I can do that.
Well, who prepared this originally?
It was prepared by one of the board members originally when we were still in the change from Douglas County to the transportation district.
Yeah, which is why it's there, but it's probably not needed now, but yeah.
Okay, I'll bring that
So
back.
it's a comma. The advisory committee has the formal delegated powers of authority to represent Douglas County, comma, UPTD, or commit an expenditure of any funds.
Right.
So what would be the purpose of leaving it in? Because we're technically,
We're not Douglas County.
no, I know, but because we're representing Douglas County, UPTD, trying to figure out why they would have decided to keep that. It feels like somebody decided to do it for a reason. I just don't know what reason.
I think that maybe when they did the original bylaws, we were still in that
between.
transition process.
Okay.
And so it's possible that we did not yet. Yes, because
We weren't
that,
fully done yet.
yes,
Okay.
so we had that original STIF advisory committee meeting. And it was still Douglas County was the STAC committty. And it was, I was the chair. I was the chair, okay.
I really don't want to be chair then.
But I can't be the chair now. Okay, so that does make.
I have a question though. So is this whole, is the terminology totally changing then to be population based and payroll based?
Yes. So population based, it replaces what was formerly STF, special transport type.
Yeah.
Special. And then the payroll based is what we receive as a district. And that is, for our next meeting, we will provide a list of projects and recommendation for funding for you to discuss and move forward to the board for our next board meeting.
But so where this, for example, at the top of the page, it's still talking about STIF, well, where'd it go? But it looked like, well, yeah, right at the bottom before members, it says will include information in the STIF and coordinated plans. That's not going to be called that anymore, right?
Yes, we still have a STIF plan. And yeah, so so much has changed. So we still have a STIF plan, and that STIF plan is generated when I turn in the application that says these are, oh, sorry. These are our, well, that's interesting. There we go.
It's from the corner there of the computer.
So as I complete the application, and then that generates the STIF plan. What happens then is it goes to ODOT and then feedback and changes that are required based on what they're looking for in the plan. So then it becomes between the district and ODOT as to how to solidify the plan for the next 2 years. So yes, we still have a STIF plan. We have a coordinated plan that was just one more meeting after our transit master plan. So we now have the 20-year transit master plan, the 3 to 5 year coordinated plan. And when we have a STIF plan we're currently working from, that is the projects for 21 to 23. And then we'll, from the project list that we're going to generate with our next meeting, then we'll create the next STIF plan for 23 to 25.
Do we have a stack plan?
No,
So we could kill that language.
we could, but the the board did not want to.
Okay, I
They
can see on her.
they like that special transportation advisory committee.
They like the name.
The language, okay.
Uh-huh.
And then do we have a coordinator, STIF STAC coordinator?
I think that's me.
Okay. Okay,
Better be.
Oh, me, and actually, really, that is Christine, because she keeps me in order.
okay. Saying meeting attendance is mandatory unless previously arranged by the coordinator, so I just want to make sure we have a coordinator,
Oh, yeah,
because that's in the language.
yes,
Okay, cool.
that would be a combo of Christine and myself. Yeah. Yes,
Okay.
okay, so do you want to read through each one of the changes that is in the bylaws? Or do you want to make a motion to approve based on the fact that you've already read through them and understand why we're making these changes?
I'll make a motion for the second. Oh, I can't anymore. I can't make motions.
Now she's the chair, so it's up to Dick and Toby to make motions and seconds.
I move we accept the changes as presented.
Okay.
Then I better second.
Yes. Oh, now I have to see, this is why I can't be this person.
No, you're
Okay,
good.
and so then I have to call for a vote.
Vote, yes.
And do I say other words? No? No?
No, just call for a vote.
Okay.
Yep, yep.
Calling for a vote.
Aye.
In favor, that's,
But it is all.
yes. Like, okay, I can do this. All those in favor. Did we lose somebody? Uh-oh.
Sunrise.
Want to get
She loves
nominated?
change. She didn't want roped into things.
Uh-huh. All right.
Okay.
Okay, so now
Write my words down.
we have completed revision of bylaws.
Yay.
Now you get to
Oh,
go to the
me.
next one.
See, goodness gracious. Okay.
I did the same thing.
Recommendations for funding allocation.
Okay. So you want to put this one out? So this whole process is so simplified because we have 4 providers. And it is just so much more simple now than it was in past years that I'm just amazed. So at the top of the page, you can see that we have the population-based formula STIF replacing the STF, and for the 2 years, it's a total of $580,017. And then for the 5310 enhanced mobility of seniors and individuals with disabilities, we have a total of $917,274. That number, though, does not take into account the $94,204 worth of match, which is where I struggled for hours to make this work until I finally discovered what it was that was the issue. So the total funding to allocate is $1,497,291. We had 4 applications, one from Mercy Express in the total of $117. Yes. One from City of Reedsport for $72,000. And then the 2 client-only providers, DRTF requested $30,000 and Sunrise requested $24,000. In addition to that, we have the call center, which is our mobility management, and that employs 4 full-time dispatchers and 1 part-time dispatcher. And so that is also a project that qualifies for this funding and that we typically have funded with this type of funding. We wanted to add preventive maintenance in there, additional preventive maintenance, because the cost of preventive maintenance has more than doubled in the last year or so, a little bit more than a year. It's just progressively gone up. The cost of the maintenance and the time that it takes to get vehicles repaired, to get the parts, the supply chain issues are just killing us in those kind of areas. So the other thing that is taking operating costs up, of course, is the fuel prices. So what the recommendation is that each one of those applications be fully funded. And then the recommendation is there off to the right in blue. The call center and Mercy Express are the only 2 that I recommended the 5310 funding for. It will simplify for City of Reedsport and for the preventive maintenance to only be the STIF funding because there is no match required. And DRTF and Sunrise also just the STIF funding with no match required, which is what they had previously received with the STF funding. So this fully funds everybody and then gives a pool of money to be able to access for those higher cost items, for tires, for transmissions, for when the steering box goes out, those expensive repairs that people are just not prepared to handle out of their operations budget. So in previous years, we've had to haggle over who's going to get how much and who's going to have a reduction in what they asked for. We don't have to do that. And I have the previous history that shows that these are not unreasonable numbers. So are there any questions?
Actually, it's, well, yeah, I guess it's a question. It's kind of procedural. Do we need to worry about conflicts of interests and things like that. I mean, we are operating as a unit of government, right? Don't we, shouldn't we at least be cognizant and maybe go through something that says whatever we need to make sure we're following the law?
Well, so our bylaws kind of cover that in that the people that, or the positions that are available, they do have a specific interest, and so the committee is specifically designed to ensure that we hear from each one of those special interests. Yes, so we want to have, Natasha is our representative for seniors and people with disabilities. And of course, you are our representative for the bike ped arena. And then Toby has the experience in both fixed route and paratransit. And he's actually sometimes a transit user himself. And so we still have a lot of positions to fill. Sarah will fill one of those positions as a provider. Hopefully we'll be able to either get Jane or Chris or Charlene to fill the other provider position, because this is the arena where everybody gets to declare why they think somebody gets more money or less money, or that's not an appropriate place to spend it. And they make the recommendation to the board. And then the board is the one that has to have no conflict of interest as they hear the recommendation and either approve or change the recommendation. I'm learning, guys. I've learned so much.
And we currently, even with the addition, we now have 4 members, or do we have 5? Because Shelley's still on the.
Right.
Okay.
If Shelley is not the person that's on the committee, then that's the fixed route standing.
Okay.
Yes, so we'll appoint somebody to be on the committee.
Okay.
But with me preparing the recommendation, I feel I can't be on the committee, but I feel like we are pretty well represented.
Okay.
That thought process is there.
Okay. And we should have 12.
We should have 12, yes. Well, we should
In a
have
perfect world.
yes, in a perfect world. And I believe we'll get there. It will just take time. Yeah.
Oh, I'm probably, is it my turn? Oh, any more
Discussion.
questions?
Yeah.
Discussions? Any other questions or discussion? I had a question a second ago, but I lost that one. Oh, are there gaps in coverage by only having 2 providers?
So it's been interesting. Mercy has been a great partner. And they have a pretty specific area that they cover. They, like same as we do, have had some issues with getting some drivers. Yeah, so that's where the challenge is. It's not so much in the number of providers, it's in the ability to get qualified drivers.
Okay.
So City of Reedsport is covering that. Reedsport, Lakeside, they do a run down to Coos Bay, and they also will go north to Florence as well. So they cover that area. Our North County is for the most part covered by our employees, our UPTD employees. And then South County, Mercy covers South County every single day, Monday through Saturday. They bring a lot of dialysis patients in, and they are really good at putting multiple people on a vehicle, which is huge. And then we have managed to appropriately separate the paratransit service area and the demand response service area that, and the difference being paratransit is a guaranteed ride for anybody that is approved that is a senior or a person with a disability, and their ride begins and ends within the paratransit service area. And with the expansion of the hourly service from, we now have hourly service to Sutherland and Winston with trips out to Dillard and Oakland. That has greatly expanded the paratransit service area. And so there was some adapting that we had to do there. And then the space available basis rides, the demand response space available is everything that is outside of that service area. And so the greater majority of those rides go to Mercy. And the only time that the district takes those rides is in the event that Mercy cannot take them. So it has been working out really well. Mercy and the district both are seeking more drivers at this time because especially with the cold and flu season hitting again, we're turning away rides this week. So definitely a challenge. But the coverage seems to, we don't turn away that many rides. Right. So that was the huge concern when we lost the providers. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, call for a vote. Call for a vote, sorry, and skip the steps.
Yeah, no, you're good. Motion.
Motion.
Oh, motion.
See?
Oh, motion. Motion to approve or make changes.
Well, Toby, how come you're not doing this?
Well, it's your turn to make the motion.
Okay, I will move to approve as submitted.
I will second that motion.
Favor.
I,
Fantastic.
and thank you, Cheryl, for doing this, and especially for, it sounded like making this all work out. I was kind of somewhat amazed and a little surprised that everything just seemed to work out.
It did indeed. I honestly, I breathed a sigh of relief when I realized not only could we fund the call center and every provider as requested, but we still had the funds to be able to fund a portion of paratransit as well. So that has been huge in the past. That getting the paratransit funding has always been a challenge, and everybody's fully funded. And the other piece that isn't in any of this is that ODOT did ask us to add a 20% additional, instead of just 100% list for our STIF projects, which will be next, then to ask for 120%. And they've asked us to separate the projects in fixed route, commuter route, and then paratransit and demand response, and by provider. And so that it just down to very specific information. And so we'll give that 100% number, and then just for each one of those, we'll bring that number up by 20%, so that we don't end up with an extra project that's not getting funded. Capital projects is the other one for like the shelters and things of that nature. So and just a heads up, when we provide that list with the increase of costs for everything in the supply chain, we're going to have a fairly large contingency that will be able to cover things that come up with the property development next door. It would be a shame to get all that money and not be able to finish it.
Mhm.
So we just have to have the contingency to cover costs that might be unexpected and not covered by the grants. So you're gonna get another packet. Hopefully, it's not gonna be the day before the meeting. But you'll get another packet that gives information about the 2 grants that we did receive, because there was the 2.3 million for the 5339, which is the excavation and all of the preliminary work for the property, the sewer, the storm drain, the water, getting all of the utilities there, and the prep work for the electric bus chargers, all that kind of stuff. So that grant was to develop everything except for the buildings. And then the second grant, 3 million of that is for the electric buses. And then the 1.2, the additional 1.2 is for the building and the parking structure. So there will be a lot of information, and the project list with all of the breakouts of how much goes to each mode and each route, and I'll provide the number of miles traveled now by each one of those modes, and some history of the ridership over this past year, because we had seen such a huge drop in ridership with COVID, and we are coming back really well, but we're not there yet. This last month, though, for the fixed route ridership, we came up 1,000 rides in 1 month, from 7,000 something to 8,000 something. So
That's good, yeah.
yeah, so the ridership is coming back, but it is just taking some time to get there. And the demand response ridership has really, once it came back up, it's kind of leveled out at as many rides as can be provided with the drivers we have available. So we do have 3 vehicles that are going to come in hopefully in January, and they are 16 passenger, 3 ADA, and that allows us to make the changes to the fixed route that we were planning to make with the collector in South County and the connector from Lane Cottage Grove down to Wolf Creek, so that we connect both Lane and Josephine County all the way through. But we're hoping, that they said that it should be here in January. So we're keeping our fingers crossed. We still have other vehicles on order besides that we have no idea when they will be received. So we have replacement vans for the older vans, and I guess we just will update as they come in.
Do we have drivers for those 3 new vehicles?
No, but we will.
Yeah.
Right now we have, and Sarah, we will share these with you too. We have 100 applications for demand response drivers.
Awesome. We interviewed 3 people on Monday. We have 1 that we've selected. So it's only Wednesday. Our HR is aware, but I don't think they've reached out to her yet. So hopefully we get our position filled too.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah. All right.
How many openings do we have then? For drivers?
So that is a very good question. Yeah, it's still in flux simply because we have some people that are off on medical
Okay,
that we can't replace, but we need the drivers. Yeah,
when someone's off on medical, you can't do a temporary hire?
we can do temporary, but you,
That's it, okay,
yeah. Yeah. All right.
that's fair.
Any more questions
I don't think so.
for me? All right, so we need to set a date for our next.
We don't have any public, so we can skip that one.
Oh, yeah, public.
Public left.
Well, Sarah's
Sarah,
public still.
technically you're
Sarah's
public.
public.
Do you have
public
questions
still,
about
Right
that?
till next.
Any questions? Thank you, though.
We've answered more than
There, same date.
All good.
8 for the next meeting. And we could do the end of next week or the beginning of the following week, or we can do the first week in January. But this meeting has to happen and the recommendation has to be moved forward in the January board meeting, or we won't get the application complete.
Okay, and the board meeting is the 19th, is that what you said?
The board meeting is, well, we have one on the 12th,
Oh, okay.
but it's January 9th is the board meeting in January, so we could do anytime between the 12th and the 21st, or the 3rd to the 6th. Oh, no, the 4th to the 6th. Sorry, I shortens it up a little bit there. My daughter is coming home on leave for Christmas and I take her back to the airport on the 3rd. So that kind of eliminates the 3rd.
The 12th through the what? Sorry.
21st.
And 1 o'clock in the afternoon, is that kind of a given?
We can do any time that works for everybody. And 1 o'clock is just a good time for me a lot of the time, simply because if there's any fires that have to be put out in the morning, we've got that taken care of by the time lunch. Yeah.
Okay.
Any preferences? I have, I guess that would be helpful too, to know what I have, huh? All right. And, all right, I'm gonna look at the 20th. The 20th, I could do morning or afternoon.
20th.
Here.
Um,
So
That's Tuesday.
the 20th, we do the afternoon only. We have a standing leadership meeting in the morning.
Okay,
I'm free on the 20th afternoon up until 4 o'clock. I have another meeting.
The
awesome.
21st, I was gonna cancel that. I was
Okay,
gonna reschedule it for January. It's too much.
all right.
to do
So
back to back.
are you available?
I'm
on the 20th?
available, but have to leave at 2:20. And
Okay.
like right now, we're clearly done, so as long as everybody knows that I have to leave at 2:20,
Okay,
then that's fine. The
all
20th.
right. If the
20th.
20th works for everybody, it's better for us to get it done sooner than later.
Right.
Right, and that lights a fire under me to get my project list complete.
So at 1.
1 o'clock works?
Mhm.
Okay,
20th?
Natasha.
fantastic.
On the calendar.
That was easier than anticipated, and Christine will send out a calendar invite. And we will send out details as soon as we have the project list complete.
Call the meeting to adjournment.
Yes. Yay! Thank you, everybody. That was just so much easier. I'm happy. And welcome aboard, Sarah. I'm sure that by the, oh, yes, by the 20th.
The
It will
20th,
be,
she'll on
yeah.
board.
Yes, that will be awesome.
I can vote next time. That'll be exciting. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Adios.